Hello, I'm Jashikins. Welcome to another Game of Thrones Season 8 episode review. Tonight, we're going to be reviewing The Long Night. I meant to do this earlier, and because I was sad, I turned my sadness into creativity, and I made this one graphic a little more complicated than any I usually work with. So that was fun and challenging. It was hard in parts that I did not think would be that hard. And then afterwards, I sort of relaxed and then took a shower. And now I'm here. So I'm very sorry about making this a little late. And before I begin this review in proper, like my my favorite character that died, and what's sort of great about that, not that the character died, but the fact that at least two or three of my friends so far have come to me and they're like, Josh, this scene happened and I thought of you. I'm like, I think there was one that I don't remember talking to that much, and it's just like, wow, everyone knows I like this character a lot, and they're, I guess, being sad for me. And I'm totally not sad. I didn't totally cry out. I'm a big, hard woman that needs help. But anyways, this epic battle shows a lot of hard work. However, unless your favorite character isn't popular or big, then, well, you're not feeling the pain the rest of us are. What this episode lacks in main character deaths, it makes up in atmosphere and effects. From this point on, there will be spoilers. Although if you know me, I've just said big fucking spoiler already, so oops. Part 1. No major character deaths. This battle was advertised as one of the biggest and hard-hitting, some even comparing it to the Red Wedding. This episode teaches viewers to not believe hype like that. While it is long and expertly filmed, yeah, except for, lighting and can't fall action, it's actually very well shot. It lacks what made the Red Wedding so devastating. Main and popular characters died. There was an unexpected sense of finality because of the deaths in the Red Wedding. This episode lacked those kinds of deaths. The deaths were devastating, especially Jorah Mormont's, but not at the same level as Brienne of Tarth or Jaime's death would have been. Heck, if Daenerys and Jorah died fighting together, that would have hit home. Daenerys is one of the main characters, and having her removed would have changed everything. Tips to aspiring writers: if you want real stakes by killing off characters, choose ones the audience adores of all of. God damn it! Sorry, let me restart that again. Tip to aspiring writers: if you want real stakes by killing off characters, choose ones the audience adores above all others. Part 2. The Dead's Defeat. The Night King and his army have been the biggest threat. They have been the true threat that has overshadowed everything else. To truly show how deadly they are, the majority of the season should have been dedicated to fighting them. The living should have lost Winterfell and had to flee from the Night King's army, which would still be growing strong. Of course, with having Cersei alive and well, that plotline had to be dealt with. So having the battle against the dead last only an episode makes sense. This is a shortened season with only a limited number of episodes, and they make this one episode count. It was a battle that only had a few moments where my mind wandered. Still, it feels odd to have such a gigantic threat killed off in one episode. It feels like the show wasted the biggest threat Westeros has ever known. So, while I can understand the technical side about why the battle against the dead was limited to one episode, I still don't like it as it made me feel underwhelmed. Like I was wasting my time for all those years of waiting. Same feeling I felt a couple times in season 7, but never mind. I will cover this next point more in the season review as I'll have more time to look over the facts and form an opinion. It doesn't appear as if Arya Stark is Azor Ahai. There was no mention of the prophecy around her, which makes it appear as if the showrunners dropped it for the show. I do like the idea of the Azor Ahai prophecy not being real, but I'm still not sure if the show intentionally meant that for that twist to happen. If the prophecy isn't brought up in one of the remaining episodes, I'll have to chalk up this wonderful idea as unintentional. And if you're going, but Josh, you can just like look things up quickly, like in a few hours in time to get this review out. And I really go all out with the Azor Ahai prophecy. So the Azor Ahai prophecy long post I made, I thought it was going to be relatively easy. It was one of the hardest things, so I always know to give myself a lot of wiggle room whenever dealing with one of the prophecies on Game of Thrones. Part 3. Lyanna Mormont's death. Lyanna has been a fan favorite since her original appearance back in Season 6. People have loved her even though she hadn't done much. I did like her character to the point I made a sequel to my fic Between Two Worlds just to write about Lyanna Mormont. This episode, she does something more than just give great quips. She takes down a giant, you heard me, a giant, while she's being strangled by it. It was an epic way to go out and made her death impactful. I do like that the showrunners had her character do something before being killed, so she can be known for more than just awesome lines. Part 4. Dragon Fight is the best part of the episode. One thing that I really wanted to happen happened this episode. A dragon fight. It was Daenerys and Jon against the Night King. It began a little unsteady as Drogon and Rhaegal ran into each other with a little headbutt. The fight was made more epic by the fact that, due to the clouds, it was hard to spot the Night King. After a little bit of a chase, Rhaegal and Viserion went at it together. And then Drogon saved the day by knocking the Night King off his mount. I think I actually really cheered at that moment because holy shit, that was fucking awesome. To me, this was the height of the episode. And to top it off, Drogon didn't kill Viserion like many theorized. Yeah, it took the death of the Night King to defeat that bad boy. Viserion is my little baby. Okay. Part 5, Jorah Mormont's death. And I'm going to read something from the Animorphs series. I made sure the quote isn't too spoilery, like it doesn't point out any of the characters. So if you're watching my Animorphs dramatic reading and you're sort of worried, here's a little bit of pain to look forward to. Didn't matter in the end. My life and my death didn't change anything. I matter. Yes, you were brave. You were strong. You were good. You mattered. That is one of the most tragic Animorphs quotes, and something I think suits Jorah Mormont. His life was complicated, but he redeemed himself and was brave, strong, good, and he mattered. You'll need to read the Animorphs series to find out the context of the quote. Just don't until you're recovered from this episode. Trust me, just trust me. Don't go, oh, I can do this. Just don't. That's a stupid idea. Don't. Jorah Mormont's story has revolved around Daenerys. He has risked everything just to get the chance to stand by her side. He didn't care about returning home as she was his home. She was everything to him. Below the surface, she represented the opposite of everything that had damned him. So falling for her was him falling for his own redemption. I am a big Jorah Dany shipper, and so I took another sort of sadness from Jorah's death scene. Damn, this is hard to read now. I do find it fitting he didn't realize any of his wounds until he was sure his love, his queen, his Khaleesi, was safe. Only then did he say, I'm hurt, and allow himself to die as he looked at Daenerys' face. Oh, and Daenerys picking up a sword and fighting beside him was both badass and romantic. Two lovers fighting together even though one can't really fight. She would do anything to protect her sweet bear, even fighting with a sword when she didn't know how. Like she swung the sword, but you can definitely tell she's like, I sort of know how to do this. It's sort of like me trying to drive a car, and that's sort of a reason why no one lets me drive, even though I do have a license and I've never crashed. I think of Jorah as the father of dragons, due to his closeness to Daenerys as the dragons were growing up. And so it's fitting that Drogon also mourned his passing. If the show does have Daenerys turn mad, Jorah's passing would be a good way to trigger it. He was the only one that had seen her rise from victim to conqueror, the first one to always believe in her with no doubt. I wish I could have a day or two to write this review, as writing about my favorite character's death is hard. So sorry if this part comes out more sloppy than usual. There's just so much I want to say, but not enough time. Anyways, as I had to make a short review, I did leave some things out. Feel free to comment about anything I didn't mention. And what do you think about the characters' deaths? Did you have anyone that died that just hurt you really, really, really bad? Or did none of your favorite characters die? And do you think major characters should have died? Like, were you disappointed by the fact that, hey, this is going to be a big battle, anyone could die, we're closing all these storylines off, making them all happy, oh no, they might die, and then none of them do? It's like, were you disappointed? And also, what do you think about the dead being defeated in one episode? Were you disappointed? Or did you not like it, like the Night King storylines? So you're like, okay, that's done with. Now I can actually focus on the plot line I'm actually interested in. What did you think? Please comment below, and please like this video to show support for me in my time of mourning for Jorah. It might take like a week or two. Like, this is, I guess, day 2 of, and so I know the sadness goes away. I know I've read really heartbreaking things before, and I know it lasts like a week or two, but like this video sort of shows support for me. And if you're also on the YouTubes, why not subscribe? I will be reviewing every Game of Thrones episode. And I will also be reviewing the season as a whole. So, ta-da! And if you were interested by the Animorphs quote and would like to see where it's from, I am doing a Animorphs dramatic reading that will cover all the books about Alternamorphs. And if you're wondering why aren't you going to cover Alternamorphs, you live in a much happier world than me. And so yes, so subscribe if you for more Game of Thrones and Animorphs content. And if you're watching this on my blog and watching on the desktop version of my blog, please choose the follow by email option so you will never again miss out on blog posts by me. And I just don't do Game of Thrones. I also do Animorphs, some fan fiction, some long posts of a variety of topics. And yeah. And the next long post was one that someone should have stopped me saying, Josh, no. Josh, no, no. I know you say you have a good idea. I know you're saying this is going to be awesome, but don't. Yeah, because now I'm nearly done with the outline and I'm like, this is going to kill me. And I might do a Game of Thrones retrospective, and I'll get some other Game of Thrones fans with me, and we'll talk about Game of Thrones for a little bit. But the thing is, to get this retrospective to happen, I want at least 10 people donating to my Patreon. And if you want to be one of those people that donates, like if I've earned your trust that much, if you like my content, and you want to see this, I was about to say Animorphs retrospective, this Game of Thrones retrospective, head over to my Patreon and donate however much you want. And if I have enough people donating by the time, oh shit, I hit something I didn't mean to. As long as I have enough people donating by the time the series ends, I will, start to plan that retrospective. And I have some people in mind, so yeah, I'll get those people try to. Now, if you're like, if you're not watching this on my Patreon and you're like, where is your Patreon? If you're on the YouTubes, link in the description. If you're on my blog, link. If you're on my blog and on the desktop version of my blog, link over on the sidebar thingamajig. So donate any amount. I just need some people donating. And until next week, stay safe. Recover. Bye.